Okay, Siyat Dishmaya, Rishain, Toshin Pei, Parshat Balak. There's 1,300, I think, new people being diagnosed with coronavirus. They should be zayin gesund. They should all be healthy. This should be a tikkun for the Mageifa, for the epidemic that appears in this week's Parsha. Bolok are travailing, toiling in Divrei Torah. Vayar Bolok ben Sipor. He saw what Klal Yisrael did to Sichain and Og. They weren't able to withstand the force of Yisrael. So he said, we're also in trouble. And the first question is, why was Bolok scared? Moav was terrified. They sort of almost they lost hope of all their life. Why were they so scared? They despaired of a life. Why were they so scared? Hashem said to Klal Yisrael, you're not going to attack moav. So why are they so scared? So scared they're going to be maybe overwhelmed. Maybe the Klal Yisrael is so many people, such a multitude, they're going to overwhelm them. Maybe we'll say they were scared they're going to overwhelm them culturally and spiritually. That was perhaps what they were particularly scared about. But add this, why scared? Yeah. And we know the story. It's going to be quite important. They saw what they did to Sichain, and Sichain, we know, was at war with moav. Let's do a little map coming up here. This is Eretz Yisrael. You got moav here. You got Sichain here. Incredible map. Incredible cartographer. This is Sichain, this is moav, and originally moav had stretched till here, and then Bilam had given a curse during this war against moav on behalf of Sichain, and Sichain had thereby expanded into moav and taken this whole area up to R9. Oh, this is readable. And then Klal Yisrael had been told you cannot attack moav because moav, whatever, I'm going to have Rus, Moavi maybe, and therefore Klal Yisrael were unable to attack them. But once Sichain had overpowered moav, and therefore the captured land had acquired a new status, a new international legal status, it's called Sichain. Yisrael were allowed to attack it, they'd overpowered it, and therefore they had thereby conquered from Cheshbon to Arnon the whole of Sichain, which was Moabite Sichain. And that's also as part of the phenomenon that Moav saw here. And Moav says to Midian, Ato Yilachachu Akohol. Now, Ato. Ato, now, Yilachachu Akohol. They're going to lick us up. Probably the same word. Yilachachu and lick. Yeah? Yilachachu akohol. Es kol sivaisenu kilchoich hashoyer eis yerek hasode. Well, maybe talk about that loshen. Interesting loshen. Kilchoich hashoyer yilachachu. So Rashi says, it is like, or the Das Kenim brings, it's like the shoyer, it has got a particular koyach. Kilchoich hashoyer has a particular koyach that it has got a very strong tongue. It's can't cut. Oh my God. I hope you've been hearing all this. I'm going to switch off and see if I've been audible or if I have to start again. It's been a week since I've been doing this. So. Okay, so Baruch Hashem, we were heard. Just about, but let's try and be even more audible. Let's be very fancy with this fancy apparatus. Of course, doesn't work when you're trying to get on. Okay, that the sauce cuts when it eats. It's got incisors, teeth. The shor does not have, the ox does not have. So what does it do? It's got very great strength in its tongue. So it eats a vegetable. Let's say you got ground level, and there's a vegetable protruding here, and underneath there's the bulbous or whatever the plant. It will come along and lick this up, and it will uproot the whole thing. That's kilchoy chasher. That's what das Kenim tells us. And also we're told, Bolok ben Tzipor melech l'moav b'Isahi. I already made the bracha. Bolok ben Tzipor was at that time. And what's the significance of that? No. And we know that Bolok came from Midian. And what's the significance of that? Originally, we're told Midian and Moav had been at war. They were at loggerheads the whole time. But since they were being attacked by a common enemy, they decided to make peace. And we're going to see what's the significance of this. Like there were two dogs in a pack and they were attacked by a wolf. And one of them was attacked by a wolf, and they said, wow, the other one said, my enemy's been attacked. Hey, if I don't defend them, tomorrow they're going to attack me. So they made a pact together. Similarly here, they said, Moav and Midian said, if we're going to be attacked, one of us, then tomorrow they're going to attack the other one. So we better make a pact despite the fact that we're enemies. What's interesting is, the Bolok was a Midian. So Kubi is a das Kenim and Matis, said there was two Midians. Kubi there was two Midians. There was a Midian where Moshe Rabbeinu grew up, and there was a different Midian that attacked Klal Yisrael with the Midianites. So could be that we could also use that to explain here. But saying if we say it is the same Midian, so it's an interesting phenomenon. They're enemies, but they also had a system of rotation, where the king of Moav would be appointed sometimes on a they each took turns on a revolving rotation basis. Once it would be from Midian, once it would be from Moav. At this time, it was the king of Midian. So he sends Malachim, so he's concerned, what's going to be? So he sends Malachim messengers to Bilam, Bolok, who's very concerned. He says to him, hey, what's going to be? There's people have come out of Mitzrayim, Mitzrayim, and they have completely overwhelmed our Oretz, which is, let's say that is Sichain. And he's opposite me, and therefore we need your help now. We're unable to defeat him. Vato lichono orali, and so Omar's curse for me, because they're too powerful for me. And what's this? And Bilam also, when they come to Bilam, he reports, Hashem says to him, what are these guys doing here? And Bilam says, Bolok has sent to me, Ato lecha kavali oisoi. Whole time li, curse for me. So we could suggest the following. Why are they scared? Yeah, we asked why they're scared. So let's look a little bit about a history first. What is Bolok doing there in Moav B'Esahi, Melech Moav B'Esahi at that time? So because of this, there was a war going on between Sichain and Moav. And it was an equally balanced war, it seems, for quite a time. And at some point, it seems to be that Sichain got the upper hand. And Moav perhaps were concerned. How is it Sichain has got the upper hand? And they started investigating, and they found out there's this sorcerer called Bilam who's actually given a curse to you and a blessing to Sichain, one or both of these. And that is what has turned the tide against you, Moav. And we explained in Parshas Chukas, ultimately this was actually a reflection of HaKadosh Baruch Hu preparing that Yisrael will take over Sichain, and thereby Moav. So this was in actual fact inspired by the conquest of Klal Yisrael. But anyway, this is what Moav saw. So Moav was concerned, hey, what's going to be? And you can ask a question. Sichain conquered Moav up till Arnoin, till here. Why did they not overwhelm the whole of Moav? Why wasn't Moav was able to stop the rout? Were able to to limit the incursion of Sichon. Why? What happened? So you could say, according to this logic, that what had happened was that Bilam had come along and gave a curse. Sichon now is going to be defeating moav. Great. So moav says, this seems to be Bilam, this guy knows what he's doing, he's got power. How are we going to stop this? Sichon is going to be defeating moav. Maybe the only resort we can have is maybe the spiritual resort. We're going to say this curse is no longer valid as regards us. Sichon will defeat moav. We now are going to assume a new identity. What identity? You know what? Let's take a king of Midian. Let's take someone from Midian and place him on top of ours, in control of us. Let's take Bolok, who is in charge of Midian, place him in charge of moav, and thereby moav will acquire a new status, a new legal status. It's no longer moav. It's essentially Midian, or it's the empire of Bolok, but it's not moav. Who says that works? Because we find that it worked itself with moav. When Sichon conquered moav, it was considered to be the territory now of Sichon, not of moav. That's how the Torah viewed it. Similarly here also, we could say, moav said, that maybe this will also work. It's no longer considered moav if the ruler who has authority over us is no longer from moav, but comes from Midian. This is not moav. Therefore this will stop the tide. And maybe that's what happened. Maybe that's why it came to R9. They stopped because they changed the ruler. Melech moav ba'es hahi. And this is maybe also the issue. Perhaps moav said till now, okay, let's stop the war, finished. But now Klal Yisrael appear in the scene, are on the scene, and moav till now was not overly concerned because Klal Yisrael had no permission to attack moav. But now, since Bolok has been put in charge of moav, so maybe now moav itself acquires a new status. It's no longer moav. It's a territory of Bolok or of Midian. In which case, it is now permitted for Klal Yisrael to attack it. Maybe that was the concern of moav, of Bolok. And this is maybe what the Pasuk is saying. It's quite meduik, maybe in the Psukim. It says, Bolok saw what Yisrael had done to Sichon. Vayagur moav. And moav was frightened. Because they saw, why were they frightened? And they were extremely scared. And moav, because we're scared what Klal Yisrael are going to do to them, they said to Ziknei Midian, Aton now. Now, this whole call is going to lick us all up, like a shoyer licks up the vegetables. Bolok ben Tzipor melech moav. That's the Pasuk is saying. That's the continuation. Why are we so concerned about Klal Yisrael? They don't have permission. Prima facie, they do not have permission to attack moav. The answer is Bolok ben Tzipor melech moav. He's the king of moav. He's not from moav. We no longer have a genuine status of moav. We are Bolok ben Tzipor territory, in which case we are being mutter to Klal Yisrael. That's what they were concerned. And therefore, what will be the response? What is a likely response? What should we do now? What we could do is actually can solve things very simply. We'll say no longer Midian should be in charge of moav. Let's resort back to being moav. How do we do that? Let's get rid of Bolok. So Vishlach Malochim. So Bolok sends Malochim to Bilam, to Pseiro, Likr Leilemor, and he tells them what Vatol Chano Oroli. Curse them for me. Why for me? Because I'm the one essentially that is on the line. It's my monarchy that is under threat because it's going to be a civil rebellion. Therefore, Bolok says this is almost a personal issue for me. And that's maybe the way the ox licks Yerek HaSodeh. Why? Because this is what the Das Hakim tells us. How does the shore do it? It has great strength. It licks the top and brings up the whole growth underneath the ground as well. That's what Klal Yisrael are going to do. How are they going to be able to attack us? Because they will attack, so to speak, from the top. They can take Bolok. Bolok represents the authority. They'll take him, and with him they can take us all. That will be the way they'll be able to do it, with their great strength. And maybe you could add, I said as a remez, because you could ask even on this dynamic. Maybe it's not going to work. Why? They'll decapitate us, so to speak. They'll take away Bolok, he'll be dethroned. In which case, at that point, we will return to having a status of moav. In which case, from that point on, they can no longer destroy us. Klal Yisrael will again not be entitled However, you could say, first of all, that will not work. Because with Sichain also didn't work. It could be that they destroyed Sichain first, and nevertheless, it didn't automatically resort, the moav territory did not resort to becoming moav. Once it's in the course of a battle, it's considered an ongoing process. And not just that, once they have, so to speak, toppled Sichain, they become the masters automatically of the whole of Sichain territory. And therefore, moav is no longer called moav. It's called the dominions of Israel. It's not moav. And therefore, they're still entitled to do as they would please with this. Similarly here with Bolok, they can, once they've taken over moav, the moav territory via Bolok, it still retains. It's no longer moav. You could also say, maybe I'm suggesting that if it's two processes, if the process of defeating of moav would work, so to speak, on two levels. They'll take off Bolok, decapitate him, and then afterwards they'll pause, and then they'll say, should we go further? So at that point, maybe there is time for moav to reassume its identity as moav, its cultural, spiritual identity as moav, and then Yisrael is no longer permitted. But if it is done in one fell swoop, one action, that never happens. There's never hiatus for moav to be chayzev and air, to reassume its identity as moav. And Klal Yisrael are like a shoyer. They are able to do this in one sweep. And maybe how'd you see this? Maybe this is shoyer. Where do you see this koyach, the Klal Yisrael maybe is able to take from the top and, so to speak, to go further to usurp the authority. So maybe, Remez is thinking, shoyer, who's the shoyer? They see this shoyer. Why did they pick a shoyer? Why is the shoyer? Yes, it has great strength. There's a rhinoceros. Many things have got sharp tongues. Yeah, shoyer is the most common one, with the most strong tongue. But also perhaps shoyer, who's shoyer? Yosef is described as a shoyer. He's a very powerful shoyer. Maybe he also was in some ways, not an iconoclast, but he called, in some ways, he was a threat to the Bechira. He also took part of the Bechira in Klal Yisrael. That was the part of the argument, who's going to be the one that's in charge. And Yosef usurped part of the authority, not completely. He didn't become the Melech. Yehuda is the Melech, but Yosef was a threat, and perhaps partly as a result of Yosef, Reuven, who was meant to be in charge, perhaps lost his authority because he was jealous with the story of the Mois, Leah and Rachel. That was part of Reuven's, that caused him to make that problematic move. And also Shimon also lost it because he had attacked Shechem, and he'd also attacked Yosef. They had tried to actually to uproot Yosef. So this is Kilchoich HaShoyer. HaShoyer maybe is a remez to Reuven v'Shimon, that in one sort of action, Yosef, the koyach of Yosef, the shoyer, is to take off the king, and that's what they were perhaps concerned about. And okay, we'll talk about that afterwards. That's the orally. Okay, so Mitzvah, carry on now with next.